Blog Talk Radio.
Greetings, Stone Guardian, Crystal Keeper, Gem Lovers and Rockhounds. Welcome to There's a Rock for That. Hello, everybody. Happy 4th of July. Welcome to There's a Rock for That. I am your host, Mary Brown, coming to you live from Amarillo, Texas. And today we are going to be doing open lines and crystal mini readings for everyone. Already see that the switchboard is filling up here. So let me go ahead and give that call-in number for anyone who wants to call in for with a question, or they just want to talk about crystals. The call-in number is 714-816-4628. Again, that number is 714-816-4628. You can call in and get in the queue, and I should be able to get to all the callers today, hopefully. But anyways, so here we are on this 4th of July in America. If you're listening in other parts of the globe, this is our Independence Day. So I hope everybody is going to find a great way to celebrate and to honor that spirit of independence. This show, like all our Saturday and Friday shows, is brought to you by the Tarot Guild. If you haven't checked it out, go check out thetarotguild.com. And we're on the Psychic Talk Radio Network. You can check out our psychictalk.net website. Also, we have Facebook groups for both the Tarot Guild and Psychic Talk Radio on Facebook. Check those out. I post a card of the day every day in the Psychic Talk Radio Facebook group. Easy way to find that is going to psychictalk.net/Facebook. So I decided, because it's a holiday, let's do things a little bit differently today. Usually I take calls at the end, in the last half hour towards the end of the show, but I thought, why don't we go ahead and take calls first instead of making people wait so long. Since it is a holiday, maybe they want to get that grill fired up and get to cooking their yummy treats for their festivities later on. So let's go ahead and do that. I will be doing crystal mini readings. I use crystal dice and crystal cards and all kinds of crystal stuff to do the reading. So they're a little bit different. They're not like a lot of readings where, people want, usually it's like a timing question, or it's like a, regular question you would ask of a tarot reading. Usually crystal readings are more personal. They're more about personal development. So let's see what happens. We'll try to address any questions that you have, though. And our first call is coming to us from area code 312. Area code 312. Caller, are you there?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. This is Karen from Chicago.
Hi, Karen. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Just relaxing. Just with the family right now. My question is, I'm wondering if I applied for some unemployment aid, I guess, money and pandemic assistance. Do you see anything coming through in the next couple of weeks? They have my claim. I'm going to certify, but do you see anything coming up? Any money coming up to help out?
Right. How does that look for you? Okay. Well, let's roll the crystal dice and see what it looks like. Actually, looks pretty good here. Let's say. What's interesting about this, really. I do have like a red jasper that comes up here, and that often, speaks to like, the need for security, and money is definitely part of our sense of security, isn't it? So,
yes.
That's really, I think that one's just really kind of illustrating the problem. But these are all 3s and 4s and 6s that come up here with this question. So to me, that's really great. That idea of like, people working with you, with the 3s,
right.
teamwork, creativity, getting things happening there. And with the 4s, that stability and structure. So I do think that looks pretty good for you getting some assistance with that. And just to verify that, I'm going to spin my tarot wheel here to see what we get. Oh, and that's good, the star card. So there's every reason to be hopeful about this. Time frame that I'm getting with this, I feel like, got a few more weeks to go here, maybe like 2, 3 weeks here. Yeah. So, I feel like we're looking, last part of July, beginning of August, before like we have the assistance that we need coming through. Okay? So if you can,
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
hang in there.
Yeah, I have been. Thank you so much, though. That makes sense. Yes, I agree.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for calling. Have a great 4th of July.
You too. Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Okay. So that was great, Karen from Chicago. I hope that was helpful to her. And next up, we have area code 203.
Hello.
Area code 203. Caller, are you there? What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Pat from Connecticut.
Hi, Pat from Connecticut. That's so cool. I never get calls from Connecticut. Happy 4th of July, Pat.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
So, what do you want to talk about today?
Let's see. I suppose, I feel like I'm starting a new cycle. I've been doing a lot of healing, and it's been struggles, but I'm looking for improvements in all areas. Is that enough, or do you want a specific area?
Yeah. Improvement in all areas. Well, because I'm using crystal dice, it's kind of like, the areas will reveal themselves. Okay.
Wonderful.
So let's just take a look at things. How are we doing? Improvement in all areas. Okay. So look, looks good. Okay, couple things here stick out here. I'm still seeing some challenges, and it's not like life is without challenges, especially when we work on improving everything, right? We're talking about change, right? And change isn't something that happens when we just snap our fingers. The 2 areas that come up, they're around the heart, and they're also around this idea of, I feel like, getting a program together or organizing things. And the thing that's really kind of interesting with me is like, how do you do any chakra work? I'll just ask that first.
No, I tend not to focus on that. No.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Green aventurine is a stone that comes up here indicating like we need to balance our heart. And it really a lot of times when we're talking about the heart in this way, we're talking about it metaphysically. We're not talking about like get your heart checked by your doctor. You should, make sure you're in good health anyways, right? But it has to do with being able to, kind of like cleanse ourselves of any sort of like anything we're holding on to that is kind of hampering our heart, meaning like any bitterness, any disappointment, any sort of like negativity, that kind of thing. And the other thing about it, it's a trust thing with the heart too. So as we're trying to improve everything, it's like sometimes we have to also like allow this sort of cleansing, purging, opening up kind of energy to happen on the heart level. Okay, does that make any sense?
Absolutely. I didn't get the name of the stone though. It's green what?
Green aventurine. So
okay.
Aventurine. And
okay.
the other stone that comes up is really kind of cool. It's clear quartz. And I got a 5 with that too. And it's saying like, is she like, is she programming? Is she organizing? Is she, kind of, taking advantage of like her own power to manifest things and make them happen? And sometimes it has to do with just like having a really good game plan. Okay. So that's just something to think about, and that can apply across the board. Clear quartz, is the most multi-purpose, multi-use stone out there. So that idea, sometimes, on some of our other shows we talk about programming our dreams, that kind of thing. Well, we can also program our everyday, and just kind of decide like, okay, this I'm going to tackle, on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays is devoted to something else. You don't have to be that uber organized, but I feel like there's more power than you have than you're realizing, and when it comes to making the changes that you want to make or these improvements that you want to make. So just some things to think about. Otherwise, everything else, it looks like, everything else is like kind of coming together here. When it comes to grounding and being practical and down to earth, I think you're there, I think that, I get a 4-red jasper with that. I feel like it's really saying like, okay, look, she's really kind of, she's got the foundation, to create the life that she wants to create. She's got a good mindset about it. She's got a good approach to it. When it comes to being able to like reduce unnecessary aggravations that come up in life, I feel like you're really good at that too. So I feel like keep going. Keep going in the direction that you are going. The number 2, especially really, really stands out. And 2s, have to do with balance. And they have to do with, harmony and the ability to kind of bring opposite forces into alignment. So I feel like you're doing good in so many areas and on so many levels. Just need a little work on the heart level when it comes to our emotions, and seriously, like who doesn't, right? Like we all, but and also like taking more. Taking more of your power back and making it work for you with that clear quartz.
Oh, okay. The clear quartz is for that. Okay, you're right on with everything. And even, in the beginning of saying I need to do more work, that's absolutely true. There's much more healing ahead of me, but I'm also beginning to manifest a clear path. But everything you say is even more profound than probably what you realize. It's all very, very true.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that. And look, a lot of times I think, what readings are about, or it's about confirmation for us when we get readings, right? To remind us
Absolutely.
that, like, yeah, okay, we're on the right path here. Yes, and it's a lot of times not new information. It's just kind of that sort of like extra, like, yeah, go in the right path with this. You're going to be able to, create the reality that you want, create the life you want. So thanks so much for calling today, and enjoy the holiday.
Thank you.
Take
you
care.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Okay. Another great call. Pat from Connecticut. I feel like we never hear from Connecticut. Such a cute state. I like the way it's shaped on the little state map. I don't know. Did anybody else do that when they were a kid? Have like one of those big United States puzzles, and there's some states that like you look at the shape of them, and you're like, oh, that's so adorable. Okay. Anyways, moving right along here, our next call is area code 801. Area code 801. Caller, are you there?
Hello, I am here.
Hi, what's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Charlotte. I'm calling from
Charlotte. I thought it was you.
Patiently always to ask this question about black quartz.
So what is your question about black quartz? This is interesting.
I just want to know, like, what it's good for, and because the stuff that I've read online has been pretty ambiguous so far, so I'm like, I'm going to call and ask the crystal maven Mary.
Right. Well, the black quartz is really kind of interesting, isn't it? So, the first question we should ask is, what is it, right? And so what is black quartz? Well, look, it is basically the same as smoky quartz, right? And with smoky quartz, with smoky quartz you have, quite a spectrum of color, how it can look. It might have like a brownish kind of look or a grayish kind of look, and then you see these ones that are like totally black, right? And the interesting thing about that is very often when you see that in a shop or you buy it somewhere, it has been irradiated to look that dark. Okay, there's some.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's been a practice in the crystal industry for quite a long time to either expose quartz to X-rays in order to give it that smoky quartz look, right? And so, just because it's irradiated doesn't mean, that you're going to get radiation poisoning from it. We don't have to worry about that part, right? Okay, just saying. But basically, what happens with smoky quartz is usually naturally irradiated. And that color that we get in there, right, because look, like any other quartz gems, smoky quartz, black quartz, is silicon dioxide, and the smoky color results from, there's a little bit of, differences of opinion on it, but there's this idea that there's a free silicon form from the silicon dioxide by natural irradiation. So we think of it natural radiation sources like the sun, like there's. It does happen naturally. We do have natural smoky quartz out there. But when I see black quartz, I'm always like, kind of leaning towards the idea that unless it's potentially sourced from Scotland, that this has been irradiated before in order to sell it. So to give it that, because the crystals that catch our attention, they have those eye-catching colors, the bright colors, are the ones that people charge more money for, okay? But, look, all of that aside, right, smoky quartz is an incredibly wonderful and useful stone, whether it's black, whether it's natural smoky, regardless of the different varieties, the very dark black quartz that even almost looks opaque is called morion, which, and usually, it comes from Scotland. You might find it in other places too, but smoky quartz is great for so many different things. Like any of the black stones, brown stones, darker colored stones like that, it's a great root chakra stone. Okay, you know, it's a lot of, it's a classic stone. The classic stones have these nicknames, like it's the stone of power, right? And there are different beliefs around it as far as being useful when it comes to grounding oneself, and useful for protection, useful to kind of get rid of or transmute negative energy and neutralize it. People use it for shielding, from emotional, environmental stress, psychic attacks, you name it. And it's a great healing stone as well. I mean, Smoky Quartz is the national gem of Scotland. Are you Scottish at all?
Actually, I am.
Right. Well, maybe that's another reason that you're drawn, especially to black quartz, because that's where the really dark ones come from, are Scotland, in the Cairngorm Mountains, in the Highlands. And you'll see, if you ever look at any of that sort of Highlander, artifacts or apparel and stuff, jewelry, that kind of stuff, pins, all those sort of things, a lot of times you'll see smoky quartz has been used a lot, like in the decoration of those. So, it's really kind of a fascinating stone. The black quartz in particular is really thought of as great for shielding, great for detoxifying, great for healing from trauma, coping with stress and strain, all those kind of things. So it's really a fascinating stone to work with.
Geez, no wonder I've been so attracted to it lately with everything that's going on. Oh my word! I mean, really, right? Great
stone for now, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is. But yeah, and definitely, so when we talk about, what is a stone good for, basically, there's a lot of different information out there. As it sounds like you know this because you were looking at all these different things online, and you find the same thing when it comes to crystal books as well. That there's a lot of different information that you'll be given by different authors on any one given stone. So it's like, in any information that I just gave you, I feel like, put a pin in all of that. Kind of like take it in a sense with a grain of salt and work with the stone yourself and find out specifically how it is going to assist you, because it's going to be different for everyone, So
right.
There's probably a good reason why you're really drawn to that stone right now, and let it, kind of show you in what way it can be an ally for you.
That's awesome. And, because you told me several months ago when we were talking about crystals to, be sure to talk to your crystal, ask it,
yes,
tell it what you need it to help you with. And so where Smoky, the black quartz, already has those things, that's going to line right up with it. And hopefully it will help you that way because, like you said, each crystal affects every person a little bit differently. And so that is so cool.
Absolutely,
so cool.
They do. And the reason I think that is because each crystal, each stone, each mineral that we discuss on this show and others, each one of those has a specific mineral compound makeup to them, right? And,
right.
Like the color differences that we see a lot of times have to do with, like, other minerals that come into play or that grow with the stone. But we're also made up of so many different chemicals and minerals as well. And so sometimes I think that there's like a natural kind of connection that we make when a stone maybe possesses like minerals that we could use or that maybe we're even deficient on. So that's another thing to think about as well. But yeah, enjoy your exploration of all this, and thanks so much for calling.
Well, thank you so much for helping me. Like I said, I've been waiting all week since we talked last week to call in and ask a question. So
awesome. Well, I'm so glad you did. Take care.
I love your show. Bye-bye.
Aw, that's very sweet. Have a great holiday. Bye-bye. Okay, that was a fun call from Charlotte. All right, so we're going to take one more call, and then we'll be at the bottom of the hour, and we'll talk about the shows coming up on the network. We'll talk about Carnelion, and we'll take some calls again at the end if we have some time. So our next caller in line here, who's been waiting the longest, is area code 347. Area code 347, caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Absolutely. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name's Tanika, and I'm calling from New York, from Long Island, New York.
Long Island, New York. Oh, my goodness. What did you want to talk about today, Tanika?
Talk about, if possible, please look at my job. My current job, I wanted to know, I started there in November, and I wanted to know if you saw them letting me go anytime soon, or am I safe and that's not going to happen and I'm going to be there for a while?
Okay, so let's take a look at your job and see, like, really basic job security question here.
Right.
Okay. Whew. All right. So, I mean, is it just like a little bit crazy on your job now or something? It feels like there's a lot of kind of, I don't know, things being up in the air, turmoil, that kind of stuff. But look, nothing to me is saying that your job's going away, But I do feel like it's not, like, it's almost like that's not like the biggest issue. Is there something going on with the organization there that makes things seem like not just for you, but just sort of like precarious for everyone? I don't know. There just seems to be like a lot of it seems very challenging. But ultimately, I'm not seeing anything saying that, you're going to lose your job or that you're being, that you don't have that job security. And the other thing that comes up here, I just spun the tarot wheel on this too. I got the High Priestess. So is there like a communication breakdown or something? It feels like there's things that are not being said, and that's making a lot of people worry.
There's
so
people.
That might.
Oh, I thought you were asking me. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that I started the job in November. When I came, there's people there that have been there for like 20 years. Like the certain girl that doesn't like me, and I feel like she's trying to sabotage me to get me fired. And I got written up out of the blue, out of nowhere last Friday. So that's why I asked if this is going to end up with me losing my job. But yeah, it is crazy. It also is crazy. There's probably stuff that are going on that I don't know about that you're probably seeing too.
Yeah, I just feel like there's this, almost like there's this kind of sense of like secrecy, that's happening, and that there's like a lot of like a conflict and kind of turmoil going on. You getting written up out of the blue, that kind of thing, to me, that's like part of that, kind of challenges and conflicts that can happen. But I don't see you losing your job because of it. I just feel like this is just stressful, So whatever you can do when you're not working, right? When you have your days off, to just take a little time to kind of, stress takes such a toll on us physically. Try and find something you can do to kind of like release that tension in your body. Now that could be, like, a bubble bath, some self-care. That could be doing some Tai Chi, some yoga, something to like kind of get your energy flowing within yourself and release that stress and do what you can to take your mind off of it on the days that you're not on the job or after you're done working for the day, that kind of thing. Because, it's not, we're not machines. We can't just let everything sort of pile up on ourselves. So just keep that in mind and take good care of yourself while all this turmoil is going on around you. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for calling in, and I hope you have a good holiday today.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my question and taking me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so we are at the bottom of the hour here, so it's time to talk about what's coming up on the Psychic Talk Radio Network. We have some really amazing shows coming up this week. Our next show is on Monday, July 6th, the Wisdom of the Soul show with your host, Janice Fuchs, and that will be followed on Wednesday, July 8th, the Compassionate Light Healing and Guidance Hour with our host, Catherine Hahn. Remember, everybody, she moved to Wednesday, so that's when you tune in for Catherine. That's going to be at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. She's starting a new series called The True and Authentic You. And then on Friday, July 10th, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, the Doctors Are In show with host Dr. Rose Wilkerson and Dr. Dax Carlisle, and they're going to be talking about how to connect with your true self and why. Ooh, sounds exciting. Those why questions are always the toughest to answer, aren't they? Why should we connect? Why do things happen? And then I'll be back next Saturday, July 11th, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, on the Tarot Today show with my co-host, Dax Carlisle. We will be doing open lines and doing tarot mini readings. And our topic is the question we are most asked about the tarot. So that's going to be a fun one. I'm really looking forward to that. And then next Sunday, July 12th, the Magic Universe show with host Sharona Rapsick, and she is a special Jessie Driscoll, who's the creator of the Crystal Skull Tarot. So that's going to be really cool. That's going to be great how that connection between crystals, crystal skulls, and tarot all comes together in a deck. I'm really looking forward to that. If you want to see, again, if you didn't memorize everything I just said, I wouldn't expect you to. You can find all of our upcoming shows by going to psychictalk.net/upcoming. And also, I'm going to now turn to our topic for today, which is exploring Carnelion, a really great stone that I use a lot. I will try to get back to calls if we have some time at the end of the show here. Meanwhile, if I don't get to your call today, make sure that you call in to one of our other shows. Most of them are live call-in shows. And if you want to schedule a private reading with me, you can find me by going to psychictalk.net/Mary. All right, so let's talk a bit about Carnelion. Carnelion, what is it? You've probably seen a lot of Carnelion and may not have even realized it. It's kind of a brownish red or flesh-colored red stone. It can be deep red. It's a form of chalcedony, right? And it's usually like limited to that sort of translucent variety. You might see some opaque brownish chalcedony stones, and those are actually classified as SARD, S-A-R-D. But Carnelion, it's on the most hardness scale, 6.5 to 7 there. It can have some streaks in it. It's often known as the Stone of August. And it was actually one of the first used in ancient Egypt. Carnelion is actually the modern spelling of the older name Cornelion. So if you happen to look through some, older lapidaries, you're reading through them and you see the word Cornelion, they're actually talking about Carnelion. The archaic form stems from the Latin cornum, meaning cornel berry or cornelian cherry. And the change in spelling dates back to like the 15th century. And it is it's such a fascinating stone. It's been used in so many different ways. It's kind of a weird little thing is the fact that wax does not easily stick to carnelian. It is relatively soft, and that's why it became used a lot for carved cylinder seals in ancient Egypt. And the stone also was used a lot as a burial amulet because it was readily sculpted and engraved. Papyri have revealed ancient burial practices involving carnelian. And this, again, is from Egypt. And, in fact, even chapter 156 of the Egyptian Book of the Dead talks about this. There's a whole chapter. There's a passage that says this is the chapter of the buckle of carnelian, which is put on the neck of the deceased. The blood of Isis, the virtue of Isis, the magic power of Isis, the magic power of the eye are protecting this great one. They prevent any wrong being done to him. And the chapter continues, the buckle of carnelian is dipped into a juice of akama, then inlaid into the substance of the sycamore wood and put on the neck of the deceased. Whoever has this chapter read to him, the virtue of Isis protects him. Horus, the son of Isis, rejoices in seeing him, and no way is barred to him. And so I wanted to read that to you just because in that chapter of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, it says whoever has this chapter read to him. So now you all have the virtue of Isis protecting you, Horus rejoicing in you, and no way is going to be barred from you. I love it, right? And, it's really interesting because the Egyptians, such a fascinating culture, ancient Egypt, wasn't it? And so much of what we know about stones today, the ones that have been around for millennia, comes to us, the very first things we hear often are coming to us from ancient Egyptian practices, and they wrote down how they used the stones and what they thought the stones would do. There's also a description of how to carve the amulet that they talk about in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and saying that it should be carved in the form of a heart. A scarab, symbol of eternal life, was also often carved of carnelian. And the belly of the scarab may have had the name of the deceased engraved on it. The gem was set in a ring of clay and placed on the heart of the body. So they were very specific. It wasn't like they just threw a stone in a casket, And carnelian has been identified as the first stone of the 12 set in the breastplate of Aaron, the high priest Aaron, Moses' brother, right? First called Odim, this stone was identified by Theophrastus in BC as a red stone which either carnelian or sod. The gem was said to be engraved with the name of the tribe Reuben. The children of Israel were said to have brought this stone with them out of Egypt. And as they wandered through the desert, they engraved seals in carnelian of sacred symbols and figures. So you go from the Egypt tradition, and of course, that's going to go right into the Judaic tradition, the Bible, the Christianity and Judaism, because you have this kind of line, right, coming out of Egypt. So, and then from there, Well, there's also traditions of different Arabic peoples, also including the use of carnelian as an amulet, because it was thought to overcome envy. And the belief was that if one is envied, they will be drained of the quality which another covets. If one wears a carnelian engraved with the following sacred poem, they will be saved from this draining force. So let me read the short Arabic poem here. I'll read it in English, obviously, not in Arabic. But the poem translates, "In the name of God the just, the very just, I implore you, O God, King of the world, God of the world, deliver us from this devil who tries to do harm and evil to us through bad people and from the evil of the envious." So isn't that a fascinating concept, though, that really strikes me? Yeah, that if somebody is envied, that the quality that the person who envies them is coveting or wants, the reason why they envy them, that can be drained from the person being envied. And so they created an amulet using carnelian carved with this poem to protect themselves from it. I think that's so fascinating. But, it's not just like, pre-Islamic Arabic beliefs, right? Muslims also hold carnelian dear because it's said that the Prophet Muhammad wore a silver ring on his finger set with a cylinder seal of carnelian on his little finger. And it's thought that any person who owns a cylinder seal of carnelian can never be separated from God. One of Muhammad's imams, Jafar, declared the virtues of the stone and said that all desires of a man who wore carnelian would be met. In the name of Allah, Allah, A-L-A, who was another of Muhammad's imams and his successors, they had engraved amulets of carnelian in Persia. They were said to preserve the wearer's dignity in serious manner during arguments. So they saw it as something that could help you, not necessarily win the argument, but maintain your dignity and stay serious throughout it, so you wouldn't maybe fall into just a crazy name calling fest, and this stone is amazing throughout history. This is such an important stone. Goethe, Wolfgang von Goethe, right, wrote about carnelian as well, and for Goethe, carnelian was a talisman. It brings good luck to child and man if resting on an onyx ground. So carnelian with onyx below it. A sacred kiss imprint, when found, it drives all evil things to the end, and thine protection brings. In the name of Allah, King of kings, if graven on the stone, indeed will move to love. Indeed, from such a gem a woman gains sweet hope and comfort in her pain. So, Goethe in this poem, he's talking a lot about all of the things that we think carnelian, or they thought back then, even Goethe's time, which is much after, the ancient Egyptians and biblical times. But it had all of these qualities, or was thought to possess it. So there's widespread lore of so many cultures and countries and traditions about carnelian, because the stone can be found in so many places and usually pretty easily and can be carved easily. In Japan, beads of uneven cut and length of carnelian are commonly buried with the dead. Even Buddha, is said to have offered a vase of carnelian to one of the four kings of heaven. The Aboriginals of Southwest Australia wear beads of carnelian strung on opossum yarn around their waist to cure all ills. And by custom, no woman is allowed to touch these talismans. That's in Southwest Australia and the Aboriginal beliefs there. The Zulus in Africa claim that no man wearing carnelian will be harmed by falling houses or walls. So you don't have to worry about a house falling on you if you're wearing carnelian and you're a part of the Zulu culture. And that same belief, though, found in Native American and Central European lore as well. All the way up to the 19th century, there was an author by the name of Erikel who gave us as proof no man who wore carnelian was ever found in a collapsed house or beneath a fallen wall. So not just like the Zulus in Africa, but we're talking about the Native Americans, the European lore. There was something, I guess, about houses falling on people or walls falling on people. Countries' toothpicks of carnelian are used to prevent bleeding gums, which is fascinating. You know, that's not something that we see nowadays. It's not like you can walk into your local rock shop and buy a toothpick of carnelian. It just goes on and on. The Bagai tribes of Burma use carnelian to form fetishes and believe that these fetishes should be fed blood. Spirits good and bad dwelt in stones, and if we don't give them blood to eat, they will eat us. That's a tribal belief from Burma. But again, it's just saying that, like, carnelian, the world over. I mean, there's a lot of stones. Clear quartz, obviously, is an obvious one. I would say amethyst, too, probably, that we see, like, use of and availability of worldwide. Carnelian is one of those, and yet we don't talk about this stone much. That's why I wanted so badly to talk about it today, because I'm like, come on, it's so fantastic, and nobody talks about it. So how do we look at these today? Because you can go through all of the centuries, and you're going to find lore in all different cultures across the globe about different things that the carnelian can do with us. Well, in our modern practices, because it's got that reddish, brownish, orangish color, we often in crystal healing practices associate it with the sacral chakra. So that's up from the root. That's your second chakra. That kind of stomach area, so that's like areas of like the spleen, the ovaries, the urinary tract, the kidneys, adrenals, the uterus, all of those organs we also associate with that sacral chakra, and we associate it with, feelings, emotional needs, need boundaries, and trust issues, and warmth, and intimacy, and all of these different joy even. Think of the bright orange color. It's a joyful color, and so those are the ideas that we have about the sacral chakra. We also use, in our modern times, we use it to relieve depression, to help us with things like low self-esteem or fear and anxiety. And we still use it as an amulet. We use it as an amulet to stabilize emotions in the home, promote love, in particular love between parent and child. People use it, with, a lot of different, as like a complementary treatment to anything associated with those sacral chakra organs and areas. So, yes, gallstones, kidney stones, things like urinary tract infections, that kind of stuff. You want to, consult the appropriate medical professional, right? And you also want to be able, because you have your stones right there, to also complement that by, using it. Maybe just, putting them on, doing a layout, or keeping them in your pocket, or holding it in your hand, or carrying it around with you. You know, and some people like to do elixirs as well, right? And I always recommend doing the indirect method, working energetically with the stone instead of like just putting the stone in the water and then applying that directly. But yeah, pollen, allergies, colds, people, this stone is so incredibly useful, and that's the reason why I do events like at psychic fairs and stuff. I put together these little crystal helper kits of stones that people can use to, you know, practice, you know, crystal healing at home for themselves and for their loved ones. And I always include a piece of carnelian in there. So if you don't have it, they're usually really inexpensive and very, very accessible and easy to find. You know, get yourself a piece of carnelian. All right? Okay, so I have a few minutes left. Why don't we go ahead and take a few more calls here, and let's see who has been waiting the longest here. These incredibly wonderful, patient people. And, you know, and I just want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat room. I haven't been able to access the chat room today for some reason. But if you're there, thank you so much for joining us and listening. Those folks that are just listening on their phones as well. Thank you for taking some time out of your holiday to spend with us over here on There's a Rock for That. And by us, I mean me. Okay, let's see who is next. Area code 614. Caller, are you there? Area code 614. Hello, 614. Hello, caller. All right. I am not hearing anything on that line, so I'm going to put 614 back on hold, and we'll come back to it if we have a chance. And then our next caller here is area code 216. Area code 216, caller, are you there?
Yes, hi. My name is Patricia, calling from Ohio.
Patricia from Ohio. How are you today?
We're good, getting better. How are you?
What did you want to? Doing really great. What did you want to talk about?
Excuse me. I realize that you have a subject that you're talking about, the stones, the Carnelian Stone, its properties, and so on and so forth. And I bought one a couple of years ago, but somehow I didn't have it for that long, and it just, I lost it somehow. Anyway.
It had to go somewhere. It had something to do.
Well,
Sometimes that happens.
Right. This energy here, as I have been learning here in Cleveland, has been quite disruptive and negative and just not good for me. And so I'm going. Question is, I'm relocating for health and spiritual and just a new life, reasons to get out of this place. And I planned to do that last year, but I thought, and I had some guidance claiming that I was going to be possibly I should live elsewhere, but I know where I'm going to live, the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, wow. That'll be a nice change.
Yes. And I would like to, I've gotten connected to one of my life's purposes as a healer. And obviously I'll be working a bridge job. Well, maybe that's what I should ask. And I'm going to need to, because the cost of living and everything is more than here.
Sure.
Excuse me. Can I get some idea of? I had been applying, but it was I was applying to a more larger city. And I was going to, energy do you get? And I was going to start back applying, say, to positions open. Now I'm obviously looking at, because of the current health situations, world situations, working out of my home, even for the bridge job, I call it. What?
Sure.
And not my. So I'm trying to. I might be willing to go in physically, but what do you see there? Now, obviously, my general background was receptionist, clerical, data entry, but I, as I said, coming into my spiritual gifts, as an intuitive, but also healer with the Reiki energy. Now, when I buy a sound bowl and a tuning fork with that, and right.
Look, just kind of rolling the dice on this, like literally, right? What really stands out to me is this is hugely optimistic that there is a lot of good news coming your way with this. It's like I roll these crystal dice, right, and they all have numbers on them, and it always stands out to me when I get, repeats of the same numbers. There's six-sided dice, right? There's only, 6 numbers that you can get. Sometimes you'll get a couple ones, but I've got 4 6s coming up with this. And 6s to me represent a lot of good news connected to healing, okay, and gifts and harmony and all of that. And it's like the only numbers that come up for you, it's like 1, 2, and 6. What's interesting to me about that is, 2 of them are 1s, there's 1, 2, and then these 4 6s here. And so I feel like, this is something where once you get in place, okay, partnerships with other people, being able to balance things, I think that this is all like going to sort of come together for you pretty quickly. Now, the other thing is like, this isn't just a move. This is also a career shift, right? Because there's like 2 different kinds of beginnings that are happening for you when you move there. And the big thing is this too comes up with the green aventurine. So it's a heart chakra stone, and it's talking about balancing things. So I feel like it's just a matter of getting in place there and really being able to get in the flow of things. One thing that really sticks out to me is this. Do you already have a place picked out?
No.
I feel like okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like
where?
No, that's okay. No, well, yeah, okay. I end up doing that. Like sometimes I end up asking like a question, and then I give the answer. But basically, I feel like once we have our home, once we've got the location and the home chosen, I feel like things sort of start one after another sort of falling into place. But there is a sense of also, people that you end up connecting with, that there's going to be, you're not on your own in doing this. I feel like there's a lot of support for you to go out there and for you to also to embark on this new career path. I feel like the response is going to be really good.
Now I'm going to be living in Washington State in a smaller city, but basically across the border I'll be working in Portland, Oregon. Because I think one of them has no state tax, and one has a city tax. I forget which one is which.
Right.
And yes, they are bigger cities, and cost of living would be higher. And I've begun to research online the rents, just even in a basic single apartment, and the lowest I've seen was $850 a month.
Right.
And I really didn't want to, get into these HUD buildings and so on and so forth, because I'm doing that now here. Now it is serving a purpose, because I've just had difficulty with the monies here and working these minimum wage jobs, which wasn't my intention. And I know there's ancestral energy that I need to work through, and I really want to start getting that. Now, my intention was to do this, get moved by the fall, say by October, and obviously the amount of money that I'm going to need to save, and I'm
feeling like October's too soon.
Okay.
It feels like a little bit too soon for this.
January or next spring.
Yeah, February. I feel like is when we connect to kind of the perfect situation as far as rent, where we're going to live, that kind of stuff. There's something that shifts for you after the first of the year that makes this easier to do.
Okay.
And allows things to kind of fall in place. Ancestral stuff that you want to work through, is that connected to either place that you're living or planning on living in?
I don't know about where I'm going to live, if that has an effect, but I definitely believe here. Now also, this place, it's got its own, negative energies and things like that going on. And it's been clashing. It's really been punching me left and right. I've been experiencing psychic attacks and I pretty much, now that I've gotten my power back, I was attending community college, and I was taking something totally different, but still, I was taking audio engineering because I had reclaimed my musical dreams. Now, so I'm going to do something else, but I had to stop. And it was some of the males in that department were bullying me, sexually harassing me, and just really mocking me, just giving me a bad time. And I didn't even report the sexual harassment because the administration, when I put in a complaint, they weren't trying to help me. I've stopped, and then I had a personal health matter that I had to put my attention on, and still do. And so work is taking the longest to work out the anger, because I've had no justice, basically. And I feel that's part of this ancestral, trauma and wounds too. And it's a whole bunch, probably poverty and sex trauma, be it rape or that sort of thing.
And that's in the past 3 generations or so. Do you feel?
I don't know. I'm just starting. I'm trying to find this. I'm doing this on my own because I'm not taking any formal classes. So I'm reaching out to my ancestors and their different lineages. And so, because I don't have the money to take a course per se, and I'm looking on YouTube and seeing, and obviously I'm praying for right guidance. Because, I've experienced difficulty even before I came back here when I lived elsewhere, and it's just always, no matter how hard I try to change my life to make my life better, and it's not because I don't have a work ethic. I'm just struggling. And,
and sometimes we can, we can feel that weight. Yeah, we can feel that weight of the struggle, and if we think it's connected to, our ancestral lineage, we can feel like, okay, how do we shake it? How do we kind of shake this, not just for ourselves even, but for our ancestors? And, because I'm getting this message of like needing to detach a little bit from the recent past and to, call upon, and even, you can make yourself like a little, like a little shrine in your house or a little thing in honor of your ancestors, but to reach further back, your ancestors from 10,000 years ago, because the further back that we go, the more healed and whole our ancestors are, and they are wanting to bring that beautiful, like pure energy from way back, bring it all the way forward to you, bring it up through the line and possibly like help other ancestors to heal by tapping into like our older well ancestors.
Right. So like I said, I've kept myself isolated, and I keep to myself. And that's on purpose. And I shield and put up shields every day for all I've went through here. And trust me, I've just only told you a minor part of it. But also I'm cleansing. I'm doing the cleansing work still, the emotional, the spiritual, and going deeper and doing. I haven't even done shadow work. But I've had a dark night of the soul, and it's. But like I said, I really I've wanted to get out of here, like, years ago, and I came back here 8 years ago. But it's just the money and and obviously and I'm a realistic. I have to build up a savings. Yes, I know money comes from other places other than a job, and so even starting with this Reiki business, which is I'll be doing online. I'm going to be working on other things like speaking to, get that income and marketing, so on and so forth.
But look, I really feel like this is all going to fall into place for you. I think it's a matter of timing, and I really feel like, 2021 is the big year of change for you, in which all these things that have been, my gosh, you have been like this powerhouse of strength in dealing with all of these things, even if you don't feel like it all the time. And I do feel like 2021 is going to be like a whole new beginning on a few different levels. And I think, your ancestors are going to be right there with you, cheering you on, and connecting with them. You talk about you haven't gotten into shadow work. Well, look, you're acknowledging you're dealing with these things that have been, unfair, unjust. That shadow work in itself, because you're acknowledging the shadow and saying, like, guess what? I'm still holding the light. The light is still going to come in. I don't have a problem looking at these things and being honest with myself and acknowledging them and putting them in their proper place so that they don't take your joy away,
Yes. Well, look, can I ask you if you have any experience with ancestral healing, if you can give me some suggestions on probably a book to read or blogs to read or YouTube videos or person?
I would definitely recommend Daniel Foor, Foor, and his book, Ancestral Medicine. I think that can be that's like a whole class in itself. And he does stuff on YouTube, and he's on Facebook, and he's terrific. But I think that it gives you a lot of, like, just kind of like a blueprint on how to approach it, what to expect, and it's really down to earth, and I think it's immensely useful. So that's who I would recommend. Like, I would recommend just getting his book to start with. Ancestral Medicine is the title. Daniel 4 Foor. Okay.
Yeah, it's not in
Thanks
the
so much.
It's not in the library. But anyway, thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks so much for calling, and happy 4th of July.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. All right. That was terrific talking to Patricia from Ohio, from Cleveland. My goodness. I think 2021 is going to be her year. And I think we're going to be talking to a whole new Patricia next year. Not a whole new, right? And when we make big changes like that, when we decide, like, okay, I'm going to, like, deal with things. And we've talked to so many people today who talked about improvements that they want to make in their life. It's not that we're changing, things so that we're not ourselves anymore. It's just that I look at it as like we're allowing our true selves to emerge. That about shadow work a little bit. We talked about ancestral healing. All of these are tools and concepts and methods to learn and to use to have that feeling of wholeness again, to have that feeling of being centered and being grounded and being so comfortable in ourselves and so certain and sure of our place and secure in who we are. And Carnelion is a stone that can help us have that sense of security, to help us have that feeling that, we're okay, we can trust ourselves, and that there's nothing wrong with creating healthy boundaries, to creating our own ground rules so we don't feel so beat up in life, so beat up by different people and their opinions and all of these things. The world is an absolutely beautiful place, but the world is also an incredibly heartbreaking place to be as well. And when we kind of get off a little bit to this area of like being doubtful or being insecure or feeling like, we're just taking like brutal attack or psychic attack after psychic attack from people, we can start to have that foundation sort of shaken. We can everything kind of starts to distort a little bit, and we lose our sense of security. We lose our sense in trust in ourselves, trust in other people. Carnelion's a great stone to help us get back to who we really are. And with that, it is time to end the show today. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your call today. Remember to go to psychictalk.net/upcoming and look at what we have coming up on the network. Most of our shows are call-in shows. I'll be back next week with my co-host, Dr. Dax Carlisle, on the Tarot Today radio show. I hope you all enjoy your holiday today. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Bye-bye.